One of the main challenges today around data center management is data center managers are forced to be able to bring many more services, many more applications, and concentrate and consolidate them into ever and ever smaller spaces. So things like air conditioning, things like power start to become a problem. Therefore, this actually actually increases cost of ownership and cost of floor space and things like this. So it is actually a very serious problem that does have to be addressed in the market, and it is a major issue for all organizations worldwide. The hallmarks of all good enterprises, we must ensure that there is effectiveness, there is efficiency, security, integrity, availability, reliability. These are, again, the most essential things that you need in an enterprise architecture. So it's very important that the right kind of virtualization designs are in place, the right kind of storage designs are in place, the right kind of network designs are in place. This is absolutely essential to an efficient architecture. Importantly as well, you must have good quality orchestration. The components must work together in unison. So essentially these are the most essential parts of an efficient architecture. So cloud computing is an interesting term, as we all know. So first, to make cloud computing meaningful, we must break it down into two parts. Private cloud and public cloud are quite different in many respects. From a private perspective, many organizations in Singapore are starting down what I call the maturity track. They've started with the traditional model of just standard servers, standard operating systems. They're now experimenting and moving heavily into virtualization. What I want to point out at this stage is that Singapore, compared to locations like the United States or Australia, are behind that curve. So you'll find a lot more maturity in Australia, in America, in terms of virtualization. But again, Singapore companies are rapidly developing. They've seen the value and are moving heavily into virtualization. Beyond virtualization, we have to consider the private cloud. And again, as we mentioned earlier, that's where orchestration, that's where the efficient enterprise really starts to take place. If we consider now the second part of the cloud discussion, that really centers around the public aspects, moving your data out of your organization into other third parties. Generally, Singapore is in line with many organizations worldwide, that people tend to shy away from the opportunities of putting their data in an outside organization. And of course, it's well known that people do this because of risk and compliance. So when we, again, think of the term cloud, we must always divide it into two pieces when we address the topic of adoption of cloud. So Dell has actually chosen a very open approach to the whole theme around private and public cloud. Essentially what I mean by an open approach is it believes that people should have choices. It believes that people shouldn't be locked in to one particular type of architecture or another. People should have choices in the type of storages they have. And if you think about legacy environments, for example, people already today have many investments in many different types of storage, like, for example, the ENCs, the NetApps, the HPs, and the Dells. So Dell believe that customers should have that ability to be able to manage all these components, all these type of network components, all these type of servers in a consolidated and a single view kind of concept. Absolutely not. I think data centers is something that we will continue for many, many years to come. People simply will not give all of their data away to the external cloud. Yeah. What we might see is very much a hybrid approach where people actually will accept to have the majority of their services running in an external cloud, but will always retain some kind of value within their organization. For example, it could be that all board of management or all, for example, design documents might stay within the legal premises and not actually be pushed out to the cloud. So efficiency for many people within the data center area starts around the virtualization. It is about reducing the amount of floor space which is occupied by the servers today. So essentially the number one thing that everybody is talking about and has been doing for a long time now is virtualization. There's a much greater amounts of degrees that we can go with virtualization. We can get higher density servers. We can consolidate much more in terms of racks. But virtualization is absolutely at the heart of everything that a data center should be about. Of course, it's one thing to be able to reduce the number of servers you have in your organization, but of course essentially you must take care, number two, on the data center as well, the facility. The facilities that often we're running in today are probably built somewhere back in the 1980s or early 1990s. These environments are absolutely not efficient from an air cooling perspective, from power distribution perspective, from what we call the warm air and the cold air aisle concept of keeping airflow running efficiently and distributed. These data centers simply don't have that kind of capacity. So, as I say, number one is virtualization. Number two is get the facility right. And that may mean that a number of facilities have to be relocated. Some facilities can simply not be upgraded to be what we call in the new green IT data center concept. So that certainly is a major challenge for many people, to think about moving their data centers away or re-upgrading what they have currently today. Importantly as well, as I mentioned earlier, that you have to think about automation as well. This is absolutely essential. One of the key problems in managing thousands of servers is it does require a high degree of manpower. And so this is quite wasteful when we think that we can use private cloud and very smart orchestration tools to certainly automate many of the manual tasks that we have today. So, as I say, in summary, virtualization is at the heart. A good quality data center is essential as well, and automation and orchestration of all the processes that we run in an organization are absolutely essential. Fourthly, what I'd like to say that's absolutely essential, that should be wrapped around that, is good governance. With good governance, you get good security, you get integrity of services. So I always encourage people that they should be considering, if they haven't done so already, to take on a framework, a governance framework like, for example, COBIT, or importantly, a framework coming along like the ISO 38500, which does reassure the business that they're developing an efficient organization and a good application infrastructure environment. So for data center managers, there are a number of challenges that are presenting themselves today. Namely and foremost is the requirement to consolidate many servers and many applications from branch offices and from country offices into essentially regional offices. This is putting tremendous demands on the power, capacity, and on the people capacity that are running those data centers.